morning, friends. Welcome back to my channel. I guess you can tell I've expanded from one shelf set up to two. I had my plants on basically all on one shelf. They were extremely crowded. And so I got my husband to help me, begrudgingly. He's like, how many plants are we going to have in here? Because this is our living room. But I promised him I'm not going to expand beyond this two shelves. So we'll see how I do with that promise as time goes by. So one of the main reasons I expanded was because everything was so crowded. And I'm adjusting my lights too. I have this shelf, but you notice I haven't put any lighting on there yet. And what I'm going to do for now is leave lighting on this shelf. Everything gets a little bit of light in the afternoon from the window behind. So we do have some lighting. It's generally not quite enough for most African violets. I have had these LED lights on, and I've had them set for 12 hours a day. And I'm thinking that might be too much. I'll show you why I'm thinking that. Breakfast. I'm thinking that because some of my plants are getting kind of tight centers. This is not too tight. The ones that have really tight centers, I have moved. These all look okay. I'm just cutting back my lighting. See, this is actually reaching for more light. So I don't want to cut my lighting back too much. This center looks a little tight. You know, the leaves are growing in crowded, and I can't think of any other description other than tight. Now, some of my violets that are very tight centers right now, I have moved to this shelf. Now, before I go further, I know a lot of you are going to say, you know, that could be mites. And it could be. I haven't had anything brought in, no new plants. I haven't had an issue with mites in the past. I haven't had any thrips or anything like that. This room is pretty isolated, so I don't believe it's a pest problem. But I do believe probably a little too much light, giving me tight centers. I had a couple of Streptocarpus that had some kind of burn marks on their leaves, indicating to me they're probably we're getting a little too much light. This was pretty close to the lights, and it's got some dark marks on the leaves, indicating a little bit of scorching. So I think using a combination of, I'm going to put these plants here where they're just getting natural light and see how they do. The ones with the little tighter centers. This is slightly tight, not too bad. This was in natural lighting in my other room, and I just recently moved it in here under the grow lights, and I think I'm going to put it back just to natural lighting on this plant stand. So you can see these tight centers. We're going to keep a watch and see how they do over the next few weeks. Where's another one I can show you? Some of the minis, they like light. Let's see if I can get in there. They do like light. They generally like more light than the standards. But I find when they start getting more light than they need, they start to sucker more often. And this is starting to sucker. You know, I know minis are prone to that anyway. And this needs to have the older leaves pruned off. I haven't done that. But you can see it's kind of suckering, maybe a little bit tight. So I don't have too many that are like this, just a few. This is slightly tight, so I have it here where it'll get a little afternoon sun, but yet we've got a shade netting there so the sun won't be too intense. And we'll see how these do. I'll keep an eye on them as time goes by. Oh, here's a few more. This one, I believe, this one was under lighting plus got afternoon sunshine, and it's very tight in the center. Extremely tight. The flowers were even kind of stunted. So this one I'm kind of concerned about. And if it doesn't improve, I'll just take a leaf and probably toss the plant. This is Optimara Fiji. Here's a couple others that I'm just putting in natural light because they're They don't seem to be liking the artificial light. It's just a little bit too much. And here is another one. Just growing in a little bit too tightly. The leaves are slightly curled. That's been under quite intense lighting for some time. I'm one of those people that if a little bit is good, a lot is better, so I had my lighting on for 12 hours. Plus they had lighting from outside. And I had this problem years ago when I was growing violets, and I had my shop lights that were fluorescents. Same thing. All my plants were getting really tight centers, and I don't believe it was mites. I think it was lighting. You don't want to blast these plants with too much light. So that's my story. We're going to keep an eye. I may put, these Streptocarpus really like light. So I may put a light strip down where my streps are on the bottom shelf. So I'll probably place all my Streptocarpus on the bottom shelves. They'll probably take up both bottom shelves, and then I'll put lighting on them because they do like the extra lighting. So right now that's my plan. I just haven't quite put it into place yet because I need an extra light strip for this shelf here. The streps will probably appreciate some light. And I'm going to turn my fan off. I keep a fan going in this room to kind of cut down on powdery mildew. Oh, that's better. That hum was pretty loud. So I do keep that running most all the time because of reducing the chance of powdery mildew and other fungal problems. Here is the sport of meteor shower. It needs some grooming. Oh, I wanted to show you also, I'm really excited. I have this species, rupicola. I can't remember where I got the leaf. I think I got it from Selective Gardener, which is Optimara. And I had like 3 leaves. And it seemed like all the leaves died. And then this had a little teeny tiny little growth point. The mother leaf died immediately, and I didn't think it would do anything. But it's actually growing. So I'm going to have species rupicola. I'm excited. This has been growing in natural light. This has not been under the artificial light. No, I take that back. This has been under the artificial light. This is the tray that has been growing under natural lighting in my bedroom. And this is in need of being separated. There's a couple, at least 2 plants in there, probably more. That is an unknown that I've been propagating to bloom it out and try to figure out what it is. One of my oldies. And this is a bonus leaf that I got from somebody, Wrangler's Gaudy Lady. There's the mother leaf. Needs to be divided. So, I really got my work cut out for me. Here's one plant. This is a Picasso back here. I've already got several Picassos, so I don't know why I would need another one. Here's another Anne that I started from a leaf. One of my favorite plants. Again, I'll probably give this to a friend. So I've got a lot of up and coming plants here. I've got several Nest Crinkle Blue. Let's see, what is this one? This is Optimara Harlequin. That's going to be a pretty one when it blooms. So I've got several of those. Look how interesting this is. This is a leaf I started, Hawaii. I got it from Selective Gardener. The leaf rooted, and the plant, rather than growing from below the soil line where it has roots, it's growing off of the top of this other leaf. Isn't that odd? I have never really seen that happen before, but I understand from one of the African violet groups that I'm on Facebook that it does occasionally happen. So I guess it looks like it's growing little roots there out from the top of this leaf. I guess I'll have to just like cut the other leaf off and plant this this below the soil line. So I'll have to start working with that. Anyway, I thought you might find this kind of interesting, what I've got cooking for the future back here. What is this? It's really, I think this is Optimara harlequin. Whole bunch of babies in this pot here. Oh no, this is Buckeye nostalgia. It really needs to be separated. Again, I've got quite a few clones of Buckeye nostalgia. I don't know why I would need more. This is Optimara harlequin. Quite a few new little plants in there. This is Optimara romance growing back after almost dying out completely. So I'm really pleased about that one. And I don't want to take you through everything because we've done that in other videos. I just kind of wanted to talk to you about my lighting setup. I have these LED lights and I have some parchment paper to diffuse them a little bit. I also get natural lighting from outside. So trying to adjust to a proper lighting for the plants. Each plant has an individual like and dislike for lighting. And some of these are really loving being under the LED lights. And some of them are not liking it as much. Here's my Fisherman's Paradise. I'm hoping that one's coming back. Seems like it's improving a bit. It's had a long road to recovery, and I think it's probably due to be repotted, and then hopefully it'll take off once I repot it. So like I said, I've got a lot of work cut out for me, and just wanted to show you a little bit of what I've been working on the last day or so. I feel really good about having this shelf cleaned up and nothing so crowded on here anymore. Everything was just so crowded. There's my little troublemaker. She likes to knock my pots over. This is her jungle. Hi, Felicia. So I hope you... Oh, and here's another thing I really wanted to show you. This I started from a leaf. I've got two clones of this, and it's blooming. Look at the pretty bells. This is Ness's angel face. And I think the description is that it's supposed to have some pink or purple in the center. I can't remember. And this is practically white. So I believe I have a sport. But it's so pretty. I love the bell-shaped blooms. Ness angel face. And here is the other clone of the same plant. I put this under my lighting here because it's been growing in natural light in my south bedroom. And it's really reaching for light. You can see the leaves reaching up. It wants more light. It's blooming, so it's getting enough light to bloom. But it could use a bit more light, so I brought it in here and put it under the fluorescent lights. Here's my other copy of Ness's angel face. Looks very nice and healthy. It's been under a dome, so I've had it domed to this point. It's gotten the extra humidity. It's been loving it, but it needs just a little bit more light. Not too much more, because if it's blooming, we know it's getting sufficient lighting. At least sufficient enough to bloom. But the leaves are really reaching. They're really reaching for the light, so Ness's angel face is now under my fluorescent lights. So I wanted to bring you back after I'd done a little rearranging. I mentioned earlier that I wanted to put my Streptocarpus all together on the bottom shelves, and I've grouped them together, and I was sort of unclear as to the reason why I was doing that. Here are the others. Because the first and foremost reason is that Streptocarpus can enjoy a little cooler temperature than African violets do. And when you put something on the bottom shelf in your plant room, that's the area, especially at night, where it tends to get a little cooler air. You know, cooler air tends to go down to the bottom of the room. As you go up higher, where I've got my violets, we've got a little bit warmer air. And so my reasoning is that, well, first of all, I wanted to have all my Streptocarpus kind of grouped together so it'd be easier to take care of them. And the other reason was because they probably would enjoy the cooler temperatures on the bottom shelf. Now this other shelf here on this second tray, I'm going to be adding a light strip there. I don't have one right at the moment, but I'm going to be adding one. I've got a couple in the garage. And I will be adding, I've got 2 light strips in the garage because when I bought my LED light strips, I got a set of 6. So I used 4. I've got 2 in the garage. I'll be putting one down on my Streptocarpus. I'll put another light strip on this shelf. And the reason being, these are my newly started plants, cuttings. And they're going to enjoy a little bit of extra light, I think. Also, the plants that I'm keeping on this shelf without the additional lighting are the ones that, from my experience, they do not need as much lighting as some violets do. For instance, the Optimara varieties, they're usually hybridized to be able to tolerate lower light levels, in my experience. And they don't necessarily need or enjoy high light levels. They can be grown, you know, in a sunny window. So I've got a lot of my Optimaras here. And another observation of mine through the years of growing is if you've got a plant that's got mostly green leaves, it doesn't have red reverse, just light green, these are the type of plants that do not need as much light. The plants with the red reverse tend to enjoy a lot of light. Now I think this does have a this one does have a red reverse. So, you know, I may be moving it to the other plant stand. But for the most part, some of my Optimaras and some of the plants that have the lighter green leaves, I find they do better in lower light situations. So for now, I'm going to watch, you know, you have to watch each plant individually and see how they do. Here's another plant that's probably going to be okay with fairly much lower light, just a little window light. So I'll watch each plant and see how it does, and you know, as I need to move them, I'll move them. If they look like they're starved for light, I'm going to give them more light, and if they look like they're getting too much light, then they'll also be moved. Or I'll reduce the hours that I have my light strips on for, which I did that this morning. I reduced from 12 hours down to 11 hours on my light strips. So not a dramatic change, but hopefully one that the plants will like and will prevent me from getting the tight centers. So I hope you enjoyed this quick look at what I've been up to this week. I've been moving things around, rearranging, doing a little bit of grooming, enjoying some of my new starts. I've got a lot more work to do. We will talk to you all again in the next video. See you later. Bye.